been an awful long time since I've gone to the video camera here and done a weekly update. But we're getting close to tournament time during the high school season, so I thought it was important to share with everyone some of the things we've been talking about and some of the attitudes we're trying to possess moving in to tournament time. As you know, the tournament season, which begins in February here in Wisconsin, is a time where physically, mentally, and emotionally we need to be on the ascend all the way until the end of February with when we reach our peak. So the mental side of things that we go over right now is actually crucial because physically things get very demanding. So with the mental side of wrestling, we need to make sure that our athletes at this time, for sure, in January and then into February, really dig deep and possess that fighter attitude that is so crucial to reaching the levels of success that they desire. But when we break it down and talk about it, it's funny how many athletes and coaches sometimes make wrestling tactical and technical and strategic and forget about the wrestling part. In wrestling, left to its own devices is inherently fun, and it's fun because it addresses that sort of fighter attitude that's innate in all men. During the high school wrestling season, we're talking particularly about boys, and obviously we coach women too. But with the boys during the high school wrestling season, we have to make sure that they can dig in and find that fighter that's within. So here's a couple things that I use to illustrate this with our athletes. Is if you talk to these wrestlers about some of the things they identify with or some of the things that they desire to do, it shows that they have this innate desire and need to fight. So if they put on boxing gloves and go out in the wrestling room and just go after each other and knock each other in the face a couple times, they're going to have fun. They're going to love it because it's battle, it's combat, and it's a fight. Now, if we're talking about real-life boxing in a boxing match, there's technique, there's tactics, there's strategy, there's a lot of things involved in a boxing match that we don't think about when we're in the wrestling room. Okay, and they're just having fun. They're in the fight. So somehow we also need to get into that same mindset when we're wrestling. We need to forget about the score, forget about the tactics and the techniques, and just go and just wrestle and just fight. So, but it's also crucial for these young men as they're developing into the men they're created to be, that they exercise that fighter quality, because someday they're going to have to fight. They're going to have to fight for their wife. They're going to have to fight for their children. They're going to have to fight for what they believe in and stand up for themselves and do these types of things. So wrestling is being a metaphor for life. Fighting is crucial to that as well. So we got to unleash that fighter attitude. And I think if you ask any man, if we take away any consequences that would happen from fighting. Let's say you don't get injured, you don't get in trouble with the law or anybody, your reputation isn't damaged, and there's no consequences, man, we would want to just throw down all the time in the street, wherever we are, because we want to fight. We love that fight. So we have to make sure that we're pulling that out of our athletes right now. Okay, the reason is because if we leave it up to society or our culture or our schools, for that matter, to encourage this behavior in our boys, it's not going to come. They're not going to get it because they're talked out of that fighter attitude in schools and everywhere in society. And kind of a scary thought is that we've sort of taken away some of that masculinity from boys, and we haven't given them those competitive outlets and those physical outlets. So wrestling is a perfect place for that, and it's a perfect place to grow and to learn how to harness that power that's inside that fighter spirit. There's some people who fight a little bit better than others, but it's inside everyone, and everyone needs to tap in and be able to use that. So because I really do believe that we're created with it and it's innate, but they got to tap in, and they got to sort of let it out and let it come. I think boys watch UFC or some of those manly movies like Gladiator and Braveheart and some of the fighter movies and high action ones because they identify with that fight. They can identify with the dude with a mohawk and tattoos all over because he's just out there fighting, and they get it. They identify with that, so they're drawn to it. I remember I was at a camp last year and I heard Dan Gable talk about this same idea, and he said that two teams could be battling each other, the two best teams in the country, in front of 15,000 people. And if a fight breaks out at the concessions, people are going to leave the dual meet and go and watch the fight. And I think because one, people are drawn to that fight, but also it's just more exciting. So putting all these pieces together, I think in this time of year for the wrestlers is they have to fight. They have to throw caution to the wind and go out and battle and just fight. Early in the season when there's evaluating and times to grow and times to make adjustments, sure, there's going to be different things going on in a match and you're going to be trying new things, but now you kind of got to throw all that aside and go after and make it a fight, because wrestling is a fight. That it's fighting, and if we make wrestling into a fight, again, within the rules, of course, within the rules, we're not getting crazy, we're not doing anything that's out of line or unsportsman, but within the rules, if we make wrestling a fight, I believe that wrestling would grow here in the United States and across the entire world, because people identify with that fight. So right now, this time of year, we want to make sure that the wrestlers that are here at Victory and anybody that we come in contact with are sort of exercising and digging deep and finding that fighter attitude that's inside every one of them.